On the news, Presidential Election Tribunal to commence hearing on May 8, 2023. President Buhari commemorates 2023 World Press Freedom Day, denies victimization of journalists. And Senate joins Reps and ECOWAS Parliament to plead for leniency for Ike Ekweremadu. Hello and welcome to News Now on TV 360 Nigeria. I am Timisola Adiku. The Presidential Election Petitions Court has fixed Monday, May 8, 2023 for the hearing of the petitions challenging the declaration of Bola Tinubu of the All Progressives Congress (APC) as the president-elect. Monday's pre-hearing session is to clarify if there are any applications before the main hearing will start, while the timetable will be set for the hearing of the substantive matters. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Mahmood Yakubu, had on March the 1st declared Tinubu the president-elect on the grounds that his party scored the majority of votes cast in the polls. Dissatisfied with the results, presidential candidates of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) and the Labour Party, Abubakar Atiku and Peter Obi, filed separate petitions seeking orders to annul the election. And President Muhammadu Buhari has joined the rest of the world to commemorate the 2023 World Press Freedom Day, insisting that all through his 8 years in office, he never did anything to compromise the profession. In a statement on Wednesday, the president described the day set aside for it as a landmark tribute to media professionals who risk their lives to keep society informed and educated. Speaking on this year's theme, Shaping a Future of Rights, Freedom of Expression as a Driver for All Other Human Rights, Buhari said he was particularly delighted that the rights of Nigerian journalists have been protected and upheld in the past 8 years. He tasked media professionals to continue to be patriotic while working for the cohesion of the country and exercise their freedom with responsibility. On the occasion of the 2023 World Press Freedom Day, a non-profit organization, Reporters Without Borders, has ranked Nigeria 123 out of 180 countries in its World Press Freedom Index. The index took into consideration attacks and arrests suffered by journalists during the 2023 general election. It also highlighted attempts by the National Broadcasting Commission (NBC) to suspend licenses of 53 radio stations, a decision that was later overruled by a federal high court. According to the RSF, Nigeria's laws do not favor the country's journalists, as the Cybercrime Act, Penal Code, and criminal defamation laws make it harder for them to practice and easier for the government to gag the press. Three years after its formation, President Muhammadu Buhari has launched the National Development Plan Nigeria Agenda 2050, aimed at increasing the country's per capita income to $33,328 per annum, to be placed amongst the world's top economies by 2050. The launch took place shortly before the commencement of this week's Federal Executive Council meeting at the Council Chambers of the Presidential Villa, Abuja. This comes about 7 weeks after the FEC approved the policy document on March 15 and nearly 3 months after the National Economic Council endorsed the agenda. There are details in this report. Low, fragile and non-inclusive economic growth, high population growth rate, pervasive insecurity, limited diversification, macroeconomic and social instability, low productivity, and high import dependence. These are some of the several subsisting development challenges currently plaguing the country. Against the backdrop of these challenges, President Muhammadu Buhari has unveiled the Nigeria Agenda 2050, a plan aimed at increasing real GDP growth by 7%, creating 165 million new jobs, and reducing the number of Nigerians living in poverty to 2.1 million in 2050 from the 83 million estimated in 2020.
At the inauguration, I charged the steering committee to prepare inclusive plans that would cover all shades of opinion and ensure even and balanced development, as well as put in place necessary legislations for continuous implementation of plans, even after the expiration of the tenure of successive administrations.
The plan also targets developing a mechanism for achieving a sustainable environment consistent with global concerns about climate change by 2050.
The broad target is to ensure that Nigeria attains per capita GDP of $33,328 United States dollars per annum that will place her among the top middle income economies in the world by 2050. I am confident that given the measures already in place for continuous plan implementation, successive administration will find this document useful in the delivery of electoral promises.
On her part, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning says Nigeria Agenda 2050 is a prospective plan designed to transform the country into an upper middle income country with a significant improvement in per capita income.
The Nigeria Agenda 2050 is formulated against the backdrop of subsisting economic and social challenges facing the country, including fragile and non-inclusive economic growth, insecurity, high population growth, limited concentric economic diversification, and low productivity. The plan is a long-term economic transformation blueprint designed to address these challenges. It reflects the philosophy of the current administration, which places high premium on consistent plan implementation to ensure enhanced economic growth that is not only sustainable and inclusive, but generates employment and reduces poverty.
President Muhammadu Buhari first inaugurated the National Steering Committee for the preparation of the Medium-Term National Development Plan 2021 to 2025 and Nigeria Agenda 2050 in November 2020. He added that the document will prove useful for subsequent administrations. Simisola Atikun, TV360 News. We'll go back to our story on the 2023 World Press Freedom Day. And to deliberate on the press freedom in Nigeria is the Executive Director of Media Career NG, Lekon Otufodunrin. Thank you very much for joining me. Now, Nigeria presently ranks 123 out of 180 countries in the World Press Freedom Index. Now, why has it been so difficult to improve press freedom in the country?
Well, I think it signifies that we need to work hard on ensuring that we justify the democracy that we are in. In a democracy, we are supposed to improve in terms of our adherence to freedom, ethics, and things like that. So it's a sign that we really need to work hard. This is democracy. This is not military regime. And as much as possible, the government needs to ensure that freedom of press is guaranteed to the media.
All right, now, judging from the recently conducted general elections in the country, there were reports of attacks and arrest of journalists nationwide while others were threatened. Now, do you think that a state mechanism for protecting journalists would help in curbing these forms of intimidation going forward?
Yes, I think so. But more importantly, the government needs to know that there are rules of engagement, and it needs to believe in it, because some of the perpetrators of these attacks are also state actors. Some of them are security men, they are police and things like that. So if right from government also instill in its staff, in its officials, the need to respect press freedom, it will not happen as we are having it. I mean, for example, even in state agencies, we have situations where maybe the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission clamps down on radio stations, indiscriminately, and TV stations and things like that. So it will take government showing example and respecting the rule of law and ensuring that even those who violate these things, these rules are penalized so that they can serve as a deterrent to others. So that is what is required. And as much as possible, if there's anything that the media does that the government is not happy with, they should seek redress through the legal means. That is what should happen, not that people should take laws into their hands.
All right, straight to the point. Lekon Otufodunrin, the Executive Director, Media Carrier NG, many thanks for your insights. Moving on, the Senate has joined the House of Representatives and the ECOWAS Parliament to appeal to the Central Criminal Court, Old Bailey, London, for leniency in the sentencing of Senator Ike Ekweremadu and his wife Beatrice on May the 5th. This followed a motion raised by Senator Chukwuka Utazi during Wednesday's plenary session. In the motion, Senator Utazi said that Ekweremadu, who served as Deputy Senate President for 12 years and Speaker of the ECOWAS Parliament, has made enormous contributions to the development of democracy in Nigeria, West Africa, and beyond. He added that a novel approach in sentencing the Ekweremadus be adopted as they are first-time offenders with no previous criminal records, adding that the publicity already given to the trial will serve as a warning to would-be offenders in the future.
On account of the good standing of Senator Ike Ekweremadu as his former Deputy Senate President for 12 years running, and as the former Speaker of ECOWAS Parliament, and considering the enormous contributions he did make in the development of democracy in Nigeria, West Africa, and beyond. Whereas these candidates were first offenders and do not have any previous criminal records, and considering that Ekweremadu was ignorant, that seeking out kidney donors was a crime in the United Kingdom, even applied to the British High Commission in Abuja for a grant of travel visa to the alleged donor, clearly stating in writing the purpose for the travel visa.
Me conclude by seeking tempering justice with mercy by the British judicial authorities, that when it comes to the sentencing, it should be considered that this is the first time ever that the distinguished Senator Ekweremadu will be facing this kind of situation. And this is also should be seen in the light of the relationship between our parliaments, our governments, and our nations. We promise that we will always make ourselves law-abiding, whether inside our country or outside our country. But this particular issue, to us, is a major diplomatic issue as well. So the authorities should look at the sentencing, that they don't give sentence that will be unnecessarily harsh. I'm not saying somebody should not do his work, but it's in order to seek for tempering justice with mercy.
Governor of Ebonyi State, David Umahi, has made a case for the Southeast geopolitical zone, saying that it deserves the office of Senate presidency. Umahi spoke with journalists on Tuesday after a private meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. He said the Southeast made considerable contributions to Bola Tinubu's victory as the president-elect, adding that allowing the region to produce the next Senate president would inspire buy-ins from the opposition in the National Assembly.
I used the opportunity to inform him that I'm in the race for the leadership of the 10th Senate, the presidency of the next, 10th Senate of our National Assembly. I needed to inform him of that desire and that declaration. The moment our party gets it right, and by saying, look, for the unity of the country, for equity and fairness, this is the zone this thing should go. And I think that it should be Southeast, unless if I'm, proved otherwise. Then it will now be a project that has the grace of God. It has, fairness, equity, and justice. And a lot of people will key into that. But when you have other criteria, other than the criteria of equity, fairness, and justice, then that's where we begin to struggle. And I pray that we do not struggle. So I believe strongly that, if this is zoned to Southeast and then without prejudice to the rights of every other zone to aspire for this office, but there would be a kind of, sympathy, because when you are, doing political permutation and sharing, you must have formula. So the moment the formula is very clear to Nigeria, and that this formula you are putting forward is placing Nigeria ahead of personal interest, ahead of regional interest, then every other person will key in. So I think what is key is for equity, fairness, and justice. And you see that even the opposition party, we key in, we see reasons for that.
Meanwhile, President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu has commended Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike for his support during the presidential election. Speaking at the commissioning of the Rumo-Kuta-Romola flyover bridge in Port Harcourt on Wednesday, Tinubu acknowledged that his victory would not have been possible without Wike's support and structural assistance. While commending Wike's principle and integrity for promoting unity and fairness during the election, Tinubu described as admirable his stance that the presidency must go to the south despite criticism.
How much does our procurement law, of course the one of the federal, how much does it say? 15% to 30%. When you give a contract of 15%, before you pay another money, inflation is almost every day. And then they will come for variation because of high cost of building materials. But in our own case, I called Mr. Speaker. I said, listen, we can't continue with this. We have to amend our own procurement law and give us the latitude where we can pay a company we know that has the capacity to deliver within time.
In His Excellency, I see a man of principle. He took a principled stand that the presidency must return to South. And he has the courage to stand by his convictions, not minding whose ox is gone. He is indeed a man of great integrity. He did not choose to serve his own interests, not about him. Rather, the interests of the nation. You promoted unity. I find the construction of this flyover and my invitation to this project, to commission this project today, is another way of building bridges.
We'll take a break here, but still to come. Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, says over 57 million Nigerians have enrolled for bank verification numbers. We'll bring details of the story when we return. Welcome back. A quick recap of our top stories. The Presidential Election Petitions Court has fixed Monday, May the 8th, 2023 for the hearing of the petitions challenging the declaration of Bola Tinubu of the All Progressives Congress APC as the president-elect. Monday's pre-hearing session is to clarify if there are any applications before the main hearing will start, while the timetable will be set for the hearing of the substantive matters. We also told you that the Senate has joined the House of Representatives and the ECOWAS Parliament to appeal to the Central Criminal Court, Old Bailey, London, for leniency in the sentencing of Senator Ike Ekweremadu and his wife, Beatrice. In a motion filed during Wednesday's plenary session, Senator Chukwuka Utazi said a novel approach in sentencing the Ekweremadus be adopted as they are first-time offenders with no previous criminal records, adding that the publicity already given to the trial will serve as a warning to would-be offenders in the future. In case you missed any of our news bulletins, or for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, on Facebook or at TV360 Online. A Chinese citizen journalist who disappeared 3 years ago while reporting on the Wuhan coronavirus lockdown and was later revealed to have been detained by authorities has reportedly been released. According to multiple media reports, Fang Bin was let out of detention on Sunday before being sent back to Wuhan on Monday morning, where he remains under strict supervision. Fang was among a number of Chinese people who were targeted by authorities for publicly reporting the event of the world's first major COVID-19 outbreak and lockdown. He and fellow citizen journalist Chen Kuishi disappeared from Wuhan in February 2020. His disappearance was shrouded in confusion and secrecy, with conflicting reports about whether he was in detention, living with his parents under supervision, or under surveillance at a designated location. We'll take another break here and return with more updates in business and sports. Stay with us.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On Digi 360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians are saying in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, and use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
Digi 360, dissecting the issues.
Welcome back. Mary Kano joins us now with updates in the business world. Mary, over to you.
Thank you, Simsala. Welcome to Business News. The Central Bank of Nigeria says over 57 million citizens have enrolled for their bank verification numbers, BVNs, as at March 31st, 2023, a 5% increase compared to the 54.65 million BVNs enrolled in the first half of 2022. The CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele made this known at the 34th Seminar for Finance Correspondents and Business Editors in Calabar. While speaking on the challenges of the Apex Bank and key policies introduced to make payments faster, Emefiele said the CBN has put in place the Nigeria Electronic Fraud Forum, Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, Financial Industry Cyber Security Fusion Center, amongst other initiatives. He added that the BVN is supporting the development of credit profiles for banking customers, which will assist in improving access to credit for credit-worthy borrowers by banks. The Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC, has commended the judiciary and Nigerian Bar for collaborating with the corporation in the diligent and timely prosecution of failed bank cases over the years. Managing Director of the NDIC, Bello Hassan, gave the commendation in Abuja at the sensitization seminar for external solicitors of the corporation. The NDIC boss said the corporation needs to continue collaborating with the judiciary and external solicitors in handling party suits against the corporation, as well as the corporation's cases against debtors towards recovering the debt owed to banks under liquidation. We'll take a break and return with stock market reports. To stay with us. Despite analysts' expectation that investors will continue to cherry-pick stocks at bargain prices in anticipation of potential price appreciation, the Nigeria Exchange Group continued its northward movement by 0.17%. That's 48 billion naira lost at the close of trading. The all-share index and its market capitalization decreased further from preceding day's trade to 52,207 basis points and 28.43 trillion naira. Now, despite the downturn, market breadth closed positive, ending with 22 gainers and 18 losers. Now, Transcorp led the decliners league after its share price depreciated by 24 kobo. Similarly, International Energy Insurance lost 11 kobo to also top the losers chart. Now, in 6,254 deals, investors exchanged 670 million shares valued at 5.028 billion naira. Now, to some select global stocks, it's another mixed trading day as we see only the Dow Jones trading down, closing flat as investors look ahead to the Federal Reserve's latest policy decision. The Dow Jones is currently trading down at 0.078%. That's the stock market report. Simisola, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mary. And on the global scene, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has issued a rallying cry for journalists and media worldwide in the event of the 2023 World Press Freedom Day. Speaking on this year's theme, Guterres addressed the problems that combating the journalism industry, such as stringent regulations, censorship, and threats to subdue freedom of expression. He said press freedom is under attack in every corner of the globe, with journalists continually harassed, jailed, and killed. Guterres advocated press freedom, which he says represents the very lifeblood of human rights.
For 3 decades, on World Press Freedom Day, the international community has celebrated the work of journalists and media workers. This day highlights a basic truth. All our freedom depends on press freedom. Freedom of the press is the foundation of democracy and justice. It gives all of us the facts we need to shape opinions and speak truth to power. And as this year's theme reminds us, press freedom represents the very lifeblood of human rights. But in every corner of the world, freedom of the press is under attack. Truth is threatened by disinformation and hate speech seeking to blur the lines between fact and fiction, between science and conspiracy. The increased concentration of the media industry into the hands of a few, the financial collapse of scores of independent news organizations, and an increase of national laws and regulations that stifle journalists are further expanding censorship and threatening freedom of expression. Meanwhile, journalists and media workers are directly targeted on and offline as they carry out their vital work. They are routinely harassed, intimidated, detained, and imprisoned. At least 67 media workers were killed in 2022. An unbelievable 50% increase over the previous year. Nearly 3/4 of women journalists have experienced violence online, and 1 in 4 have been threatened physically. 10 years ago, the United Nations established a plan of action on the safety of journalists to protect media workers and then the impunity for crimes committed against them. On this and every World Press Freedom Day, the world must speak with one voice. Stop the threats and attacks.
Finally, in sports, Cristiano Ronaldo has become the world's highest paid athlete after his move to Saudi Arabian side Al Nassr nearly doubled his annual playing salary. Ronaldo, who joined the Saudi club on a deal until 2025 after leaving Manchester United last year, earned $136 million, with Forbes saying his annual playing salary went up to an estimated $75 million. Ronaldo's contract has been estimated by media to be worth more than $219.98 million. PSG forward Lionel Messi is next on the list after bringing home a combined $130 million, while club teammate and France captain Kylian Mbappe earned $120 million to sit in third. Well, that's all on News Now this evening. Many thanks for watching. I am Simisola Adiku. Bye for now.